Rod on the line with us live from sunny downtown Perth. Rod, are you there?
Can I say I'm live with a mask from sunny down?
Live with a mask on?
live with a mask from sunny downtown Perth. How's that sound?
So what?
I should rephrase that. McGowan's Island. It's no longer called West Australia or Perth. It's McGowan's Island.
McGowan Island, yes. Well, we had that with Dictator Dan over the last 6 months. So your turn now, I guess. It's been doing rounds, going around the country as we.
Well, in actual fact, we were supposed to be in strict lockdown, and we were able to. Unfortunately, my parents' 15-year-old Kelpie passed away last night, and they were elderly, and so we went down, and my family went down, and of course we've been self-isolating anyway, so there was no risk, and they said, any reason for everyone in the car? And we said, well, we're attending a funeral.
Yeah.
And they said, it was a pet's funeral, so there you go. So straight through. Yep.
Was it a COVID-related death, Rod?
Well, you wouldn't qualify then, would you? I mean, wouldn't that be a nonsense? That wouldn't be a funeral.
Yeah, true.
True.
All right. Thanks for welcoming me on board. And look, can I say, Great Australian Party is getting a lot of interest from other parties in this up-and-coming election. It's been my phone has been ringing off the hook, and they say GAP's votes are going to play a big part in this election, and certainly I couldn't believe it. Even the staunch lefties and the righties, or whatever you want to call them, we're straight up the guts, obviously, but they want to do everything with a curveball. They just said your policies are well put. Thank you. Which so there you go. Even some parties said they were coming out with an app. I said, we did that 7 months ago.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
So look, well positioned, certainly drawn a good barrier, got some great candidates, and certainly striking a lot of interest from other parties. I couldn't believe I only got registered went in the Gazette on the last Friday, and I said, here it is, Tuesday morning, one day of work day, and the phones were ringing off the hook, and all these parties ringing up. So it's good.
Wow, nice. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah, no commitments to anything yet, obviously, but certainly nice to get the attention, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a long time, happening, long time coming, so well deserved.
Yeah, and I want to take this opportunity while your listeners, obviously there's a lot of GAP supporters and around Australia, and we've got some really exciting announcements to come. There's some really high calibre, individuals coming, and certainly getting endorsed by some very high profile people, and I just want to put my thanks out to all the listeners to certainly supporting getting the party over the line with these things, and because this is what we've got, and I'm certainly reminding all these parties that are contacting me that we're about democracy, and we're not interested in your nonsense anymore, and it's we've got to get everything back to the people, and that's what GAP's about. That's the ethos of the party. So anyway, I don't want to take up all the time slot. Fire away. What do you need?
Well, we just sort of want to an update. What's the latest and greatest? I heard you've served a notice Quo Warranto on the governor.
Well, yes, as a matter of housekeeping, and I think it's unprecedented that a party would certainly make sure that whatever race that he's in, we're on the right racetrack, and we're within jurisdiction, and certainly with what we know to be law, and what I experienced in the Parliament. I've always said that West Australia, all laws are departed from the Commonwealth. There's no question about that, but they just don't do anything about it. But now we're certainly asked whether the writ's valid, because it's an offence to go in and take an office under a purported authority, or like a adopted title, Queen of Australia. So basically, we're putting them on notice to Electoral Commission, just proper due diligence to protect our candidates and make sure that we're satisfied and the public is satisfied with true representation. And certainly Darryl and Darren and Neil, the boys, certainly they were the main authors of the notice, and we're right behind them. That's the formidable team that GAP's got. It's not about one person claiming to kick the goals. We're a good team, and we pass the footy and handball it, and we just got to get Darryl a new pair of footy boots, but only because he's missing a couple of sprigs. He slips every now and again, but other than that, he's still able to get on his feet and kick goals, and that's what we've got to do.
Well, he has been playing with the same team back in Jerusalem days, so
yeah, but they didn't wear boots back then. GAP's about restoration of the Commonwealth, bringing back the power to the people. People can't have democracy under an adopted title. These major parties, these two preferred parties are just out of control, and it's all this big ego swing, and it's about coming back to reality, and GAP's the prime mover to do that, and that's why it's getting a lot of support from high-profile people, and I think it's encouraging, and we're getting some really good candidates, and it's not about how they performed at university. We don't want the brightest people in the school. We want ones with common sense and a heart on their sleeve and go in and do the job, But, you wouldn't have these politicians. Half these politicians can't even change a tyre on a car, so how are they going to run your country?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's far too many career politicians that all you need to do is look what's happening with in the US with Biden, who's been around for half a century and done absolutely nothing. And that's not what it's about, is it? It's about getting people in there, get them on the ground, get things moving, shake things up, and get the changes happening.
Well, the message is reverberating right around the world, and Trump is certainly not out of the game. And he did, Biden's inauguration was more like a funeral than and everyone was on tender hooks there. And the military's still in Washington DC, so one has to say what's going on. So we just got to let that play out. But Australia needs to look after its own affairs. We do have a Commonwealth where it's very strong at Clause 2. Clause 2 says we must be under the United Kingdom Queen, not some Australian Queen. And yourself, when you go inside contracts, if they don't have the right title name there, it's a nonsense, and that's exactly what's happening here. So,
Rod, would you say that by acting outside of Clause 2 that the Parliament puts itself above the Constitution?
Absolutely.
That's where the problem lies.
The people's power. The Crown's God Almighty, and the Queen's the concept, and the people are the supreme. So, we've got to come. You can't have democracy when you've got a government telling you what to do, and that's exactly what's happening. These guys are just dreamers, truly. But, look at Pauline Hanson today's come out and spat the dummy saying, Scott Morrison's going to hear it from me. I've given him all the support. Here we go. Now the truth's coming out. She sold out to the Liberal Party, and now she's saying, if you're now going to drop me after I've done everything for you, now, hello, here we go. Yeah, she's forced her hand. Yeah. It shouldn't be about that. It shouldn't be about that. It shouldn't be about, I never horse traded, and that's when I was in Parliament. They were coming up to me to do a horse trade. We're bugger off. We're not into that. We are here to stick to our policies and get them through. And that's what we've got to do. And to do that, we've got to get the support of the people. And getting the support of people is how GAP's now taking its campaign involving the people, because that's what it is. Democracy is the heart with all the people. So that's it, really.
Yeah, definitely.
So, So, all right. Well, yeah. That's everyone was happy with the Quo Warranto, and it was a notice of Quo Warranto. I didn't go to the court and get it stamped because that's a nonsense. It was just a notice to Quo Warranto signed off by the party leader. We've got cause to do that, every right to do it, and I guess, we should make that available on our website so people can see it and go and research the law, because I think it's very tight. Not I think, it's very tight.
So, Rod, so what you're saying is that there's a possibility that the writ for the Western Australian election is possibly not going to be valid.
Well, Darren, you and I know it's not a possibility.
Well, I was trying to lead you into things there.
Yeah, I can, look, as you say, Mr. Dixon, we're not making the claim. The law states that the writ.
The Parliament has prescribed, as endorsed by the Queen.
I guess what we could say, the law claims the writ to be a twit. And this has exposed CO 588, which was filed March, basically a year ago in the United Kingdom, and has sat before a judge. And we've had the state solicitors try and go behind our back to where we had to go to Freedom of Information to find out what they were doing, and they were writing to the court without filing an appearance. So that proves that they can't go into the United Kingdom under Australian law. Hence, you turn that around. What are we? We're outside the law, which is what I've been claiming. That's why this whole nonsense about this bankruptcy just doesn't go anywhere. And that's why the Australian Federal Police didn't charge me. I mean, I'd be a fool under my position to go and fill out a stat deck with all this, if I thought that well, not if I thought, if the law says, but the law says a procedure with a person, with a subject in Parliament, this is how it must go. Now, also, I might add, that letter that I wrote to Paul Peroni, Chief Legal Officer, who made the referral from the Australian Electoral Commission in May, just so that they could give me a hard time around election time. It failed to respond to my letter, which stepped out the laws, Section 47 of the Constitution, where the Parliament has to deal with any disqualification or vacancy first, as that's the law. That came out of my Odgers manual. He's no longer the legal chief officer of the Australian Electoral Commission. Hello, he's now run for the hills. When we put the heat on Andrew Phelan, the principal registrar of the High Court, bang, he was gone. Looking at the prosecutors, whether the CDPP can prosecute, hold them to account. I think we're up to our 15th prosecutor, aren't we, Dale? Yeah. They all just run for the hills. So every time it's a fresh. All of a sudden, these guys are basically, to be honest, they're all dry blowers. And, you don't get anywhere with that.
Yeah.
So this is what we've got to look at. And this is what GAP's doing. It's taking all the genuine steps, proper due process, bringing in the law, saying, hey, guys, here it is. How do you get over this one? And that's what the writ's done. And I haven't done it to try and aggravate the system or whatever. I've done it for the people of not only Western Australia, but the people of Australia. Because someone has got to start holding these cowboys, political cowboys, because that's what they are. I'm speaking to them on the phone now. It's amazing how they come out of the woodwork when you're in the game. Look, I'm reaching out to you. And I said, well, funny you should say that. I tried to get an appointment in your office 2 years ago, and I said, you didn't even give me a response. Yeah. So all of a sudden now you're ringing me on your mobile phone. Oh, yeah, you can save my number. Look, I really want to talk to you. It's all about, woe me. So the point is, where do we go from here? We're going to have a clean skin in the race. We're going to have really good candidates, and we're going to have the GAP app, which is available to people to go on, vote, look at what's happening, and be a democracy. That's what GAP's about. Nothing else. We're not, like I said, we play a good game of footy, and we're a good side. So there you go.
Brilliant. Love it. Nice and simple. And that's what it needs to be. Clear and simple, because so many people just go, oh, look, I don't want to get involved in politics, and I'm not interested in politics. without understanding that the ramifications of not getting involved in politics, at least to some degree, is causing the very specific problems that we're seeing around the whole country right now.
That's it.
As you say, political cowboys in charge. I mean, you got your mate over there who's, locked down the whole state. We've got our idiot over here who locked down the whole state for 6 months. And, I mean, it's just madness. It's almost just a joke of who can come up with the most ridiculous thing and put it to their people and just see how much, people will accept and just, toe the line. It's just crazy.
You know what a political cowboy is, don't you?
Oh, you give me your definition.
One that can't ride a horse.
There you go.
One that's bucking the system.
Operating in a kangaroo court.
Yeah.
That's it.
All of those.
So look, we've come a long way. We've been, people say, well, what's the difference between you and someone else, these micro parties and whatever. I said, the difference is GAP has had a senator in Parliament, in exile, of course, because I wasn't sitting in the Commonwealth Parliament. I was in the Australian Government Parliament. That's why I've always said I'm in exile. But, we have to go back in for the purpose of, people say, look, what are you doing going back into an Australian jurisdiction? We have to go back in there for the purpose of getting back in there, Mr. Glue, getting back in there so that we can deal with it. We're on. You can't kick a goal if they won't let you on the footy field. If you can't run on the footy field, how can you kick a goal? And the unfortunate part is my brother-in-law, when the High Court put him on through the exchange, put him on while I was attending to a potential strained hamstring. He couldn't get a touch of the footy, and he wouldn't come off the field. So while he wouldn't come off the field, I couldn't go onto the field, and that's the unfortunate part. So the point is, the game's over, and the footy's now being bounced, and GAP is registered in West Australia and federally, and away we go. And what a great team! The team stuck together through thick and thin, and I can go to war with you guys. So that's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas I couldn't go to a pie shop with these other politicians.
Indeed. Oh, mate. Well, we wish you and the GAP party the best of luck in the upcoming elections. We look forward to hearing what, if any, response you get to the notice Quo Warranto. So obviously keep in touch with us in that regard, so we can let everybody know.
Well, I think we make it. It can go. It's a public document. It can go up on our website. People can perhaps download it. And why wait for a response? Why don't they also grab it and say, "Look, I understand you've been officially provided Quo Warranto, a notice of Quo Warranto. Why don't and I require an answer as a genuine, a concerned member of the public."
One would title it fair, open, transparent government.
Absolutely.
There you go. Good stuff.
You're just qualifying, the correct weight.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a jockey got the correct weight to take the prize. That's what you're doing. Putting the government over the scales. So.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, well, if you get up there and send us a link, we'll put it out to all our listeners and members and on our various social media and other links and get people onto it.
Yeah, and look, we encourage all your listeners to become a member of GAP. Get on there, participate, because this is a beautiful time to really get behind a good bona fide party. So. Yep,
indeed.
Okay,
indeed. Perfect. All right, thanks heaps, Rod. Look forward to talking to you again shortly.
Yes, that's a bona fide party that actually doesn't sit in Parliament. It's all the delegates that sit in the Parliament. The party sits outside the Parliament. So there's another message. For people to say, it's unconstitutional for a party. The party doesn't sit in the Parliament. It's what the people, your subjects that you elect go into the Parliament. So, okay.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Rod. Take care.